why don't we start to talk a little bit about the state of the union? Let's look at the risk landscape. Let's get under the hood. We talked about some fun, really feel good ways that we're using generative AI, Gen AI. But let's start to get into some of the things that are tough about it. So the thing that's making companies pause, individuals pause, we're seeing news headlines every day that are, overwhelming. But the first is around intellectual property. And if you don't know what that means, it's a trademark. So for me, in my home, I love brands. I'm a big shoes, purse kind of girl. And so, when you get that beautiful, coveted Louis Vuitton bag, that's a brand, that's a world-class brand. These are not cheap products. They do not want their brand to be manipulated, stolen, or used in the wrong ways. And so if you think about intellectual property, we're going to share some staggering stats, but I think, Carson, you gave me one the other day that there's a lot of IP infringement going on in the world, and it's equal to the whole economy of Denmark. Did you have a dollar amount that you could tie to that?
I believe it was 2% of global trade, but it was well over, I think, $200 billion a year. It's staggering.
It is. It is. So what we're talking about here is intellectual property. And so for a lot of organizations, they're trying to protect their brand. They're trying to protect logos. Funny story that if you might have been following this, OpenAI, the European Union said yes to your logo being a trademark, no to your name being a trademark. So that was an interesting decision. The second thing that's really becoming a threat landscape challenge is NCII. If you don't know what that is, that's non-consensual imagery. So what this means is that I could potentially take a picture of a friend that she sent me, or that I take a picture of someone online, maybe it's someone I don't know at all, and all of a sudden now I have content, and I'm using that content in a way that it was not intended to be utilized. Unfortunately, if you bring yourself back to your youth days, we like to break rules as kids. We're just made that way. Our frontal lobes aren't really fully developed yet. So if there's something that we can do to break a rule, we might try to do it, right? And so unfortunately, kids nowadays are a little bit different. Instead of getting outside, they're breaking rules right inside their bedrooms on a device. And this is real stuff. There are articles coming out from Wired that are constant, that are talking a little bit more from researcher perspectives about how prevalent is it for teens to be using things like nudification apps. There's articles out there that we're reading even from today around Hugging Face, an amazing open source technology, a very powerful frontier model that unfortunately has some capabilities within it that people have generated to do picture generation, video, image, text generation. And unfortunately, some people think it's fun, or maybe it's of interest to take images and swap people's faces, make them topless, things like that. So when we talk about NCII, we're talking about deepfake synthetic pictures or different kind of content that was manipulated, that was generated using generative AI tooling. The third thing that we're seeing, and just a fun fact, but also scary fact, out of the 100 plus notification apps that live on the app stores right now, Google and Apple app stores, and there is an AG out of San Francisco, David Chu, applaud to him. He's trying to get these apps removed, over a dozen of them, from the app stores because they're so harmful. But these app stores right now, they have them, they're up and running. These are legal right now. But over 700 million images have been downloaded just using those 100 plus apps. So this is a lot of scale. And then the third thing that we're going to talk about today, and one of the things that's really a challenge for platforms, is the regulatory landscape. It's constantly changing. Hats off to our folks in Europe and the European Union. They're setting the pace for a lot of regulation to look at how companies are creating their models, how their algorithms work. Are they fair algorithms? Are they meant for harm or for good use? There's a lot of amazing regulations we'll talk about tied to everything from how content is tagged online to how children are protected online. And that's giving companies more accountability for how they're thinking about safety by design and responsible technology, which is great, but it's not an easy problem to solve. And then the fourth thing that is really big on the risk landscape is just the idea of the erosion of digital trust. I just heard a stat last week coming out of TrustCon. 46% of what's online traffic is actually not even a human. If you really think about that for just 1 second, that means almost 50% of what we're seeing, interacting with, touching online isn't even another person. So that's pretty interesting stats. Carson, Shiva, anything you wanted to add specifically to just kind of the high level?
Yeah, I think a couple of things you called out was super fascinating. The fact of, like companies like Hugging Face, they provide something that's essential for large enterprises or small enterprises, right? Like what they do is they make access to AI models easy. But by de facto doing that, any bad actor can also get access to them. And again, we'll talk about it. It's super easy. If I had to edit an image with bad intent, I don't know, 5 years ago, I think I need to upskill myself. I need to understand how a photo editing tool needs to work. I need to figure out how to distribute. And today, hopefully, I'll try to show you how it all works. But like today, you could take an image, edit it, and distribute it to different sources super easily by just prompting away, right? So we've come to that stage. So that's like the scary part or the flip side of this awesome technology that we have. And the second part that you were talking about on the nudes, it's scary. Like I feel like, again, as a father of a girl child, like the article also spoke about 93% of those edits were photos of women. So we want to be mindful of what we are sharing. We all share, we all post. Again, like make sure whatever you're sharing, your signature is on it. So you could always trace things back. To say, hey, this is not that was the original that was shared. Clearly, this is a deep fake, and let's try to figure out how we can remove that. So, and again, hopefully, the demos that we share today will talk to that as well. Carson, you want to add anything?
I keep thinking about the statistic. I think it was 46% of traffic that's online is bots, and I don't know. You go on LinkedIn, you go on X, and you also see so much of the content that is generated by AI, and you look at all the M dashes that you see in the wild now, and it's just staggering the degree to which content is changing, and the way that we interact with each other is mediated by bots in so many places.
Yes.
It's a brave and scary world.
It is. And so I'm going to give you guys one more stat because I'm nerdy like that, but it's one that I just think should give us a lot of knowledge about like what we're all dealing with, again, as a consumer and also as a professional or wherever you're at in the world, whether you're looking at it from an academic or civil society perspective. This is all very notable and important. Because of the access, great point on that, Shiva, it's democratized, right? So we have these really powerful technologies that are just a click away. You can just access them just having on a browser. We've seen a rise of fraud, which is one of like the oldest threat vectors in the world that, since the beginning of time, right? But we're seeing a rise with the use of AI tools at an 8,000% increase. So we're really looking at people that have maybe malintent, fraud rings, or whatever it is, and they literally can look more sophisticated now because of these tools. So it's really, really hard to tell what's real and what's not sometimes.